Win big with new DRF All Access past performances. With one best-in-class product, you now get all three past performance formats. Go to drf.com and use coupon code ONEFREEPP for a free single card today.
Hi everyone, David Aragona here with the April 24th edition of Horses to Watch, where we take a look back at some replays from the past week, trying to find horses that encountered adversity and could be worth betting back when they run back in their future starts. This week I'm taking a look back at three sprint races from last week, one from Keeneland and two from Aqueduct. We'll begin with the race from last Thursday, April 18th at Keeneland. It was the final race of that Thursday card, race 9, a maiden special weight event going 5.5 furlongs on the turf for fillies and mares. Let's break these runners from the gate. We're going to focus on the number 5, La Salvadoreña. And you'll see she breaks about a half step slowly towards the back of the pack, gets shuffled out towards the back of the field. She's in second to last, moving down the backstretch. Now, there is pace in this race, but I still want to follow this number 5 horse. She tries to advance up towards the inside because I just think that she shows a lot of ability during this race and gets a good education for a first-time starter. The horse who runs off to the front end is going to win this race at a big price, and you'll see her open up a big advantage coming off the far turn. But that's La Salvadoreña, still towards the back of that middle pack there, and she's trying to move up on the inside under Flavien Prat, is encountering a little bit of traffic, having to wait for room, and you'll see coming to the top of the stretch here, she's got plenty of run, but just nowhere to go, and he has to really wait to unleash her move until they get into the straightaway right here, has to alter course a little bit. That's her with that red cap right under the banner on the top left of the screen, and eventually right here, Flavien Prat finally finds some running room, and she's going to go off the screen, but notice the horse has come across the wire. She's actually going to get up for second in this race, finishing within 3 lengths of the winner, who looked like she had that insurmountable advantage built up by mid-stretch. So this was a really strong late kick in the final eighth of a mile by La Salvadoreña. Now, there was a fast pace, so she got that in her favor here, but I still think this was an encouraging debut for this Ray Handel trainee, and Ray Handel's a trainer that doesn't always have his firsters cranked up to deliver a top effort on debut, so I think it is reasonable to expect that this filly could take a step forward in her next start. Definitely bred to be a turf horse, probably a turf sprinter. She's by Oscar Performance out of a Lonhro mare, so wouldn't be surprised to see her come back in another turf sprint in her second career start. Let's move it on over to New York and talk about a couple of races at Aqueduct from the past week. And I'm actually going to focus on 2 horses going out for the exact same trainer, that is Michelle Gianggiulio. We'll begin with the race from last Thursday, April 18th. It was the 8th race on this card, an N1X allowance race going 6 furlongs on the dirt for fillies and mares. Let's break these runners from the gate, and I want to focus on the number 5, Majestic Return. Now, she breaks pretty well in the middle of the pack, is going to go out towards the front end, but she's got another serious pace rival in this race, in the number 1, Vera Sana, who is coming off a layoff. She had shown a lot of speed in her prior races in Southern California, and her jockey, Jose Lezcano, was intent on getting to the front end from that rail position in this race. But Kendra Carmouche on the number 5, Majestic Return, was not about to let that one have an easy trip up front. And these two really go at it through the early stages. You see some of the raw fractions getting posted, and they're fast, nearly 22 flat for that opening quarter mile, and they're opening up separation on the rest of the field. The eventual winner of this race is the number 7, Asset Purchase, who sits a very good trip, pretty close to that fast pace, but about 3 lengths behind it, and she's getting that good stock and pounds trip. But behind these 3, the race really falls apart late, so I think you need to upgrade the effort of the number 5, Majestic Return, who you can see here, she's putting away that main pace rival who was the 6-5 favorite in this race. Majestic Return goes clear on the stretch, and it looks for a brief second like she's about to put this entire race away and get the job done, but can't quite hold off the number 7, Asset Purchase, in the late stages, and watch as this entire field sort of comes together like an accordion as they come onto the wire, because this race really was falling apart at the end, and the closers were making big late runs as the leaders were slowing down. But a horse like Majestic Return had a right to be slowing down late in this race because she went so fast towards the front end in the early fractions. If you look at the Timeform US pace figures for this race, Majestic Return got a 1:37 pace figure for the opening quarter mile. That's a very fast number for a dirt sprint, and her pace figure line does decline after that, predictably, but she did get a 9-point pace upgrade to get a 1:09 Timeform US speed figure up above her 100 final time number for this race, the final time number would be the kind of number that you could equate to a Beyer speed figure, which is based on final times. But if you're not familiar with the Timeform US speed figures at DRF, we give pace upgrades for horses that contested fast paces like Majestic Return did. So I think that number is deserved. And a number like that is going to make her pretty tough if she comes back in another N1X allowance race in her second start. So she put forth a winning effort here. We'll see if she can get the winning result next time out at this level. Let's talk about another Michelle Gianggiulio trainee that ran on Saturday at Aqueduct. This was April 20th, the sixth race on the card. A starter allowance, $50,000 for horses that had previously competed for that claiming price and non-winners of 2 lifetime. 6 furlongs, the distance. And let's break these runners from the gate. We're going to focus on the number 3, Pineapple Man. And this is a totally opposite situation to Majestic Return, because you can see Pineapple Man breaks well, but for whatever reason, her rider, Lane Luzzy, or his rider, I should say, just takes him in hand and guides this horse to the back of the pack. Some token encouragement here, but it's already too late. This is not a horse that likes to take kickback or racing behind horses. You can see that in his prior replays. So once he gets into that position in mid-pack, you can kind of see Pineapple Man does the rest, that just takes himself out of the race, and that is not where you wanted to be in this race. Totally opposite situation to the race we just looked at that had all red color-coded or fast Timeform US pace figures. This race had all blue color-coded or slow Timeform US pace figures. So it really made it difficult for a horse to make up ground from as far back as Pineapple Man wound up. And when you just watch the results of this race, the 2 horses that finished first and second are the horses that are currently first and second turning into the stretch, who led for most of this race. The number 5, Upside Potential, and the number 1, Independent Paul, is chasing him home. And you just see there really isn't much movement or changing of position through the stretch of this race. And you can see in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, Pineapple Man is actually running at the end of this race. He's striding out well, but once he was asked for his best, he's just way too far back to make any kind of dent in this race. And I threw out some Timeform US pace figures for Majestic Return. I think said she got a 137 for her first quarter mile. Well, Pineapple Man got a 31 pace figure for his opening quarter mile. You can't be successful in a dirt sprint when you get a 31 Timeform US pace figure at the opening quarter going 6 furlongs. So he was just out of position right from the start. He was making his first start off the claim for Michelle Gianggiulio here, but he's a horse who had done his best running when he'd been forwardly placed in prior races. In his final start for Mike Maker, the race he was claimed out of, he won it contesting red color-coded Timeform US pace figures, or a fast pace. So he's a horse who can be much more forwardly placed. He can also go longer than the 6 furlongs if that helps him to get more forward. So I think the connections are going to figure out a better running style for him when he comes back for his second start off the claim for Michelle Gianggiulio and 10 Strike Racing and his ownership group. So those are all the horses to watch for this week. If you want to follow any of these horses moving forward, you can add them to your horse watch on drf.com under your account. You'll get email notifications when these horses run back in the future from your stable. Also, if you want to go into your DRF formulator or Timeform US past performances, you can go into the charts or the running lines in these horses' past performances and add notes about the trips that we're talking about or trips that you see on your own. And those notes that you put in will appear when these horses are entered back in their past performances in Formulator or Timeform US. So those are all the horses to watch for this week. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to catch another episode of Horses to Watch coming up next week.